LUKAS is one of the strongest fighters in the game right now, with a solid mix of damage and sustain, making him great at backline diving. And in this guide, I'm going to share with you how exactly to build and play him. We'll be going through how his kit works, his optimal emblem and item builds, what his combos are, and finally, I'll be showing exactly how to play him in an exciting match. So let's get started right away with understanding his kit. LUKAS' first skill is a damage skill that unleashes a flash combo, dealing good damage and healing himself on the initial hit. The combo can be upgraded by first gaining Vigor, which is done by basic attacking any enemy. We can gain up to 2 Vigor stacks, and each stack improves the combo to deal more damage. The number of Vigor stacks can be observed by the icon below his HP bar. The first stage of the combo without any Vigor stacks looks like this, and the second stage with 1 Vigor stack will look like this. And the third stage, which grants control immunity during the skill, looks like this. As the third stage does the most damage and has control immunity, we should always try to only use it at the third stage if possible. This skill has good base damage, but also good physical attack scaling, so physical attack is a highly desirable stat to improve the damage on this skill. The second and third stages also have a very brief stun, which can be useful to interrupt certain skills. His second skill is a pretty short dash, but it also enhances his next basic attack that blinks behind a target and deals damage. He then gains extra move and attack speed, while also making his basic attacks deal more damage for the next 4 seconds. The purpose of this skill is mainly to close the gap on enemies and to upgrade his first skill. Next up is LUKAS out. However, in order to unlock it, we first need to have maximum resolve, which is indicated by the resolve bar below our HP. We can gain resolve over time or by attacking enemy heroes. When the bar is full, it'll turn red, which means our out can be used at any time. Casting our out transforms us into Sacred Beast form, immediately boosting all our stats by up to 20%. These stats include HP, physical attack, attack speed, hybrid defense, and attack range. In this form, our first and second skills are improved to have bigger AoE and a longer dash range. We also gain a third skill, which when casted launches a long-range shockwave, dealing high AoE damage. However, remaining in this form consumes resolve, and the transformation will be reverted once our resolve is fully consumed. Therefore, to remain in Sacred Beast form longer, we'll need to continuously attack enemies. Now, with the skill explanations out of the way, let's talk about his combo, which is pretty straightforward. The simplest combo is by starting with second skill for gap closing, then basic attack twice to build 2 Vigor stacks, followed by first skill for maximum AoE damage. The same combo can be performed when in our Sacred Beast form, which has a longer dash on the second skill and bigger AoE on the first skill. Since first skill has control immunity in its third stage, we can use it to avoid being CC'd. This is especially important when fighting in a large group of enemies to avoid being interrupted. First skill third stage also has a dragging effect, which is extremely big when in Sacred Beast form, so we can use it to group enemies together. Now onto our builds. We're looking for desirable stats on LUKAS, including physical attack, HP, defense, spell vamp, and cooldown reduction. Here are 2 general builds that I use depending on the situation. The damage build is mainly used when the team is lacking damage dealers. For example, if your team already has 2 tanks, this build can be viable to offer more damage to your team lineup. However, most of the time, the hybrid build is more viable as it's very common in rank to only have a single tank in the lineup. For the damage build, Assassin Emblem offers high fixed physical penetration, which amplifies damage on squishy enemies with low physical defense. This is comboed with Hunter Strike that also has high fixed physical penetration to further amplify the damage. War Axe and Queen's Wings offer Spell Vamp for sustain, and their passives are excellent for LUKAS to brawl with enemies for longer. These 3 items also have cooldown reduction, so we can cast our skills more often. The last 2 items are more flexible, and here are the options that you can go for depending on what you need. For the hybrid build, we're focused on being a secondary tank for the team, while still having good damage and sustain. Fighter Emblem is chosen for its nice mix of spell vamp, damage, and defense stats. Thunderbelt can easily be stacked on LUKAS thanks to his combo requiring basic attacks. It helps us become more tanky and is a solid late game insurance. Again, War Axe and Queen's Wings are just generally great on LUKAS for their overall stats and effects to be more tanky and deal more damage. The last 2 items are flexible defense items that should be chosen to counter the enemy lineup. For battle spells, the most recommended blessing for junglers is Flame Retribution to improve our damage, since LUKAS has sufficient burst mobility to reach enemies. If you're not the jungler, Revitalize is generally good and can be casted in almost any situation for healing. However, I usually take Vengeance for its teamfighting utility since it gives us damage reduction and also returns damage to the enemy. Casting it also immediately makes enemies start to panic, as they're not sure whether to continue to attack us or to retreat. Alright, now let's get into the showcase match to see LUKAS in action. I'll be playing him in the EXP lane and will be going with a custom build for this match, which is a mix of the damage and hybrid builds that I recommended. As I'm playing in solo queue, I want to ensure that I have sufficient damage, especially to burst down squishy targets. Therefore, I have chosen the Assassin Emblem for its high fixed penetration stats to amplify our damage on squishies. I'll highlight any relevant items as we progress in the match to discuss why I've built them for the situation we're in. LUKAS is solid during the laning phase for EXP. He has good damage and some healing for trading, and soon is hardly going to be a threat to us during this phase. When we're going up against a weaker laner who is playing defensively and just wants to farm, we'll just clear up our lanes quickly and rotate to help our team in other areas. You should notice that I'm always trying to ensure I'm charging up 2 vigor stacks to ensure we are constantly using stage 3 of our first skill for maximum damage. Also, if you want to clear your lanes quickly, try to target the cannon minion with your second and first skills as it'll deal more damage to it.
Guys, they messed with the wrong piece.
First blood.
The name's Lucas.
I'm starting off with just tier 1 boots so we have some base move speed for extra agility. This helps us to rotate a bit quicker. I'll then be rushing out Fury Hammer, which is a cheap component item for Hunter Strike to get its high fixed penetration stats. This is great to combo with our Assassin Emblem's fixed penetration and really amplifies our early game damage significantly.
Don't blink. Bring it on.
Looks like the enemy hasn't noticed that I'm in the area. Let's see if we can launch a surprise attack when they've committed to the objective already.
Launch attack. You have slain an enemy. An enemy has been slain. Double kill.
That was a really successful teamfight for us, and erases the good early game the enemy had before. You should have noticed our high damage, and that's a lot to do with our Assassin Emblem and the early Fury Hammer that we've bought.
I too miss the old days, but this new generation sure is full of spirit.
Mega kill.
Bring it on.
Shut down. Killing spree. Initiate retreat.
This sacred beast fears nothing. Just don't take surprise.
Mega kill.
LUKAS' third skill while in Sacred Beast form has really high damage and long range. I was trying to snipe the Soon that was escaping, but unfortunately, it didn't hit him. But it's okay, since he should have retreated back to base, we bought a bit of time to get some free turret shield gold.
Attack.
I've lost time here. The sun will never set on the Monyan Empire. Don't blink!
Initiate retreat. Unstoppable.
Don't blink!
Initiate retreat.
Real fun!
Massive damage. Fire space. Massive damage.
I always get 100%. It's in my blood.
Enemy has been slain. Ally has been slain. An enemy has been slain.
I too miss the old days.
An enemy has been slain.
You're full of
Now let's cut the minion wave early so we have time to rotate without worrying about the monkey pushing our turret.
Don't blink! Bring it on!
An enemy has been slain. Ally has been slain.
Give me a real fight! Bring it on! Just stick with me and you'll be
Ally has been slain. Request backup. An enemy has been slain. Our turret has been destroyed.
This sacred beast fears nothing! Just don't tell someone I said that. Bring it on! Show some effort!
Initiate retreat.
Bring it on!
We're too low on HP to continue fighting now. Plus, our resolve is too low to get our out back quickly. So let's recall and come back stronger. You should notice that I'm always targeting the squishy enemies like Farsa first. This is to abuse our burst mobility and damage and threaten to kill them, so they are not able to do their jobs safely. If they're wasting their skills to fight us, it means that they're not damaging our team's damage dealers, and that gives space for our team to fight the rest of the enemies.
The enemy has slain the turtle. Mega kill.
Nothing! Just
Request backup. Turret has been Our turret is under attack. Launch attack.
A hero never gives up! For as long as I'm here, I'm the son of the Mongol Empire. I always
An enemy has been
100%.
slain.
It's in my blood.
Looks like Soon is being annoying and pushing the side lanes again. Let's clear up this mid wave quickly and go to top lane and defend the turret.
Your team destroyed a turret.
Bring it on!
Turret is under attack. Enemy double kill. Sorry. You're winning.
Give me a real fight!
Request backup. Ally has been slain.
Bring it on!
Initiate retreat.
Looks like our team is pretty weak and losing every fight that we're not in. We're really going to have to lock in and carry this team if we're going to win this match. This is why it's important to have damage in solo queue, as you'll often need it to carry a team. Luckily for us, LUKAS can do amazing damage, but you'll need to have the right build.
Request backup. Launch attack. Our turret is under attack.
Give me a real fight!
Initiate retreat.
Man, I could eat everything on the menu. And that's before
You can see that I'm thinking about what I should build for my next item, and I'm really considering my options here. I could go for more defense to tank more damage, but I think that's not going to help much if my team can't do the damage to finish enemies off. I eventually decided to complete Hunter Strike first for more damage and CDR. The passive can also help in the middle of a fight to chase up with enemies.
Our turret is under attack.
No one saw that, right?
For my next item, I'm going to be building Twilight Armor. The passive reduces instances of damage we receive that are above 500. And the enemy lineup has several heroes that do exactly that, like Fasa, Yin, and Granger. So it's really good to improve our tankiness against this particular lineup. The second passive also heals us when we fall below 30% HP, giving us more sustain. This has good synergy with Queen's Wings, which has a passive that grants damage reduction when we fall below 40% HP.
Whoa, man, I need everything on the menu. That's the more
An enemy has been slain.
shoot some effort!
Even though we took down 3 enemies during that fight, I still think that we lost overall. That's because Yin had managed to break our bottom lane inhibitor, which is troublesome due to the super minions that will be spawning in that lane from this point forward.
Just stick with me and you'll be fine.
Ally has been slain.
As long as I'm here, the sun will never set on the Monyan Empire. Bring it on!
Ally has been slain. Enemy killing.
Well, it looks like we'll not be able to contest this lot since our teammates decided to feed again, so there's no point trying to contest it now. We'll just have to hold on and hope we'll be able to defend.
Initiate retreat. Our inhibitor turret is under attack. Initiate retreat. Our inhibitor turret is under attack.
Bring it on!
Our turret has been destroyed. Inhibitor turret is under attack.
Shoot some
Launch
effort!
attack. Inhibitor turret is under attack.
Just don't tell me I said that. I always give 100%. It's in my blood.
Initiate retreat. Double kill.
Bring it on!
Shut down. Double kill.
Seems like we managed to stop the push, so we get a second chance at this game. Let's hope our teammates can stop feeding, and maybe we'll be able to win.
Shoot some effort! Bring it on!
Attack.
It looks like Ixia has finally managed to farm up and deal good damage. We almost wiped out their team, so now is a good time to push forward and hopefully take some turrets and the Lord. This is why Vengeance is so powerful when fighting. The 35% damage reduction and the return damage is so powerful, especially against squishy targets that can't tank the return damage on themselves.
An ally has slain Thor. Request backup.
What will they do without me?
ごめんなさい。
Now this is fit for royalty.
Launch attack. Destroy the turret.
Stick with me.
Seems like Camilla and Jawhead are having fun with their own duel near our base. Most of the enemies are trying to defend their base, so the chances of a backdoor are really low. We can continue pushing and try to end the game.
Destroy the turret. Monster kill.
Bring it on!
Launch attack. Initiate retreat.
While I was dead, I swapped my boots for Brute Force Breastplate. This gives us more CDR, HP and defense stats. The passive also helps to replace the move speed and resilience we lost from selling our tough boots, while giving us more damage. This improves our fighting potential by a little more than just having boots, which has low stats.
Triple kill.
Jawhead is making a desperate play and we're looking at a base rush here. Looks like Karina is also recalling back to defend, which should be enough to save our base. Let's try to end the game here.